There's a painful truth that many parents discover far too late in life. You cannot demand respect from your children if you don't first respect yourself. Respect is not given because of age alone. It's not automatic just because you brought them into the world. In fact, many parents who feel disrespected by their adult children don't realize that, unintentionally, they have been teaching their kids how to treat them for years. If your children interrupt you when you speak, if they ignore your advice, or even roll their eyes when you enter the room, this didn't happen overnight. Somewhere along the way, the foundation of respect began to weaken. But here's the hope. Just because respect has been lost doesn't mean it cannot be rebuilt. The very first step, however, is not about changing your children. It's about changing yourself. Why self-respect is the foundation? Think about it. If you don't respect your own time, your own health, your own boundaries, why would anyone else? Children, even when grown, observe their parents more than they listen to them. They see how you treat yourself. If you constantly sacrifice, if you tolerate mistreatment from others, or if you always put yourself last, you silently communicate, I am not worthy of respect. Imagine this. A father who works tirelessly, never complains, but also never takes care of his own health. He eats poorly, ignores his medical checkups, and dismisses his own needs. Eventually, his children see him not as a figure of strength, but as someone who lacks self-discipline. Contrast that with a parent who values their well-being, who exercises, eats mindfully, and protects their peace. Which parent do you think commands more respect? Respect begins with the way you live your life. It begins with discipline, boundaries, and self-worth. The trap of over-sacrifice. One of the most common mistakes parents make is over-sacrifice. They believe that giving up everything for their children will automatically earn them love and respect. They give up their careers, their hobbies, even their personal happiness, thinking, one day, my children will appreciate this. But what often happens? The children grow up seeing a parent who never lived fully, who always put themselves last. Instead of gratitude, they feel a mix of guilt and distance. They respect strength, not self-erasure. Here's a harsh truth. Sacrifice without balance doesn't build respect. It destroys it. If you've been sacrificing everything for your children, it's time to pause and ask, am I teaching them to respect me, or am I teaching them to use me? Boundaries. The language of self-respect. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors that define how people can enter your life. Many parents never set boundaries with their children. They allow constant disrespect, thinking, they're my kids, I can't say no. But guess what? Every time you let an insult slide, every time you let them talk over you, every time you accept poor behavior without consequence, you're teaching them that your dignity is optional. Strong boundaries are a silent message. I respect myself, and I expect you to respect me too. For example, if your adult child yells at you, calmly say, I won't continue this conversation until you speak respectfully. If they dismiss your opinion, respond with confidence. You don't have to agree with me, but you will listen without mocking me. This isn't about being harsh. It's about reclaiming your position with dignity. The power of self-improvement. Another forgotten ingredient of respect is growth. Many parents stop evolving once they raise their kids. They stop learning, stop exploring, stop improving. Children see this stagnation and lose admiration. But when you continue to grow, no matter your age, you show your children that you are still relevant, still capable, still strong. Learn a new skill, read books, stay updated with technology. If your child talks about a new app, don't brush it off. Download it, try it, ask questions. Show them that you are still curious about the world. Respect isn't built by living in the past. It's built by proving you can walk confidently into the future. A story of transformation. Let me share an example. A mother in her late 50s felt invisible in her children's lives. They rarely called her, and when they did, they were impatient and dismissive. She realized she had spent decades living only for them, cooking, cleaning, sacrificing, while ignoring her own dreams. One day, she decided to change. She started attending a fitness class, learned how to use social media, and reconnected with old friends. Slowly, her children noticed. They began to see her not as a weak, dependent woman, but as someone vibrant, confident, and alive. They started asking for her advice again. They respected her because she respected herself first. Practical steps for parents: stop begging for respect. Never plead for attention. Show through your behavior that you deserve it. Invest in yourself. Whether it's health, hobbies, or financial independence, be strong in your own life. Set boundaries. Don't allow disrespect, even in small things. Stay relevant. Learn, adapt, and stay connected to the world. Model strength. Show your children what resilience looks like. The foundation of rebuilding respect with your adult children is not in convincing them. It's in transforming yourself. The moment you start respecting your time, your health, your boundaries, and your growth, something shifts. Your children notice. They may not say it immediately, but deep down, they begin to see you differently. Respect doesn't begin with them, it begins with you. Chapter 2: Changing the Dynamic. Communication without conflict. If there's one area where most parents lose respect with their adult children, it's communication. Words, tone, and timing can either build a bridge or burn it completely. Many parents don't even realize that the very way they talk to their adult children is the reason respect is lost. Let's face it, adult children don't want to be treated like little kids anymore. They crave independence, they want to feel equal, and they deeply resent when conversations turn into lectures. If every call from you feels like a scolding, a demand, or a guilt trip, don't be surprised if they avoid your calls altogether. But here's the hopeful truth: the way you communicate can change everything. By shifting from control to connection, from lectures to conversations, you can rebuild the respect that may feel lost. Why lectures don't work anymore? When your children were small, lectures may have been effective. You could tell them what was right or wrong, and they would listen because you were the authority. But as adults, they now see themselves as equals. If you continue speaking in the same parent-child tone, they resist. Think about it. How do you feel when someone lectures you, talks down to you, or assumes they know everything? Do you feel respected, or do you feel frustrated? Your adult children feel the same. The shift you need to make is simple but powerful. Move from parent to child communication to adult communication. The power of listening. Respect grows in silence more than in speech. One of the most overlooked skills parents need with adult children is listening. Ask yourself honestly, when your son or daughter talks about their struggles, do you really listen? Or do you interrupt with advice? Do you let them finish? Or do you rush to correct them? Listening is not about waiting for your turn to speak. It's about showing genuine interest in their thoughts, feelings, and experiences. When you listen deeply, you send a powerful message. Your voice matters to me. I value your perspective. And here's the surprising effect. When your children feel heard, they become more willing to hear you in return. Respect becomes mutual. The danger of guilt tripping. One of the quickest ways to destroy respect is through guilt. Phrases like, after everything I've done for you, you never call me, you don't care about me. I sacrificed my whole life, and this is how you repay me. These words don't bring your children closer. They push them away. They make your children feel manipulated, not loved. Instead of guilt tripping, try gratitude. If they visit, thank them. If they call, appreciate them. Even small gestures should be acknowledged. When they feel appreciated instead of accused, they naturally want to do more. Respecting independence without losing connection. One of the hardest shifts for parents is learning to respect their children's independence. You may not agree with their choices, their career, their partner, their lifestyle, but constant criticism only breeds distance. Here's the balance. Respect their freedom, but don't lose your voice. Instead of saying, "That's wrong, you shouldn't do that," try, "I see why you chose that path. Can I share a perspective from my experience?" When you frame your words as guidance, not orders, your children are far more likely to listen. Respect grows when advice feels like wisdom, not control. The role of tone and timing. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how and when you say it. A calm tone can make even hard truths easier to accept. An angry tone, on the other hand, can make even kind words feel like attacks. Similarly, timing matters. If your child is stressed, exhausted, or busy, it's not the time for deep conversations. Respect their time. Wait for the right moment. Think of it this way: you want your words to land, not bounce off walls. For that, tone and timing are everything. A real life example: consider a father who constantly nagged his adult son about his career. Every conversation started with criticism. "Why haven't you achieved more? Why don't you try harder?" The son grew distant, avoided calls, and eventually stopped sharing details about his life. One day, the father decided to change. Instead of criticizing, he asked, "Tell me about your work. What's the most exciting part for you right now?" For the first time in years, the son opened up. He shared his dreams, his struggles, and his plans. The father listened, only offering advice when asked. Slowly, respect returned. The lesson? Connection builds respect. Criticism destroys it. Practical tools for communication. Use more questions than statements. Instead of saying, "You should do this," ask, "What do you think about trying this?" Validate feelings. Even if you disagree, say, "I understand why you feel that way." Set aside judgment. Don't jump to conclusions. Hear them out fully. Speak briefly. Listen longer. The less you dominate the conversation, the more powerful your words become. Replace demands with invitations. Instead of, "You never visit," say, "I'd love to see you this weekend if you're free." The shift from authority to influence. Here's something every parent must understand. Your authority over your children ended the moment they became adults. You can no longer control them, but you can still influence them. And influence is far more powerful than control. Authority says, "Do this because I said so." Influence says, "Here's what I've learned. Take it if it helps." Which voice do you think your children will respect more? Rebuilding respect with your adult children begins with how you communicate. If you continue with lectures, criticism, and guilt, you will only widen the distance. But if you shift to listening, respect their independence, choose your words carefully, and replace control with influence, something powerful happens. Your children begin to see you not as an obstacle, but as a guide. Communication is the bridge. Build it with patience, humility, and love, and you will find respect flowing back across it. Chapter 3: Respect through relevance. Staying strong and updated. One of the hidden reasons parents lose respect from their adult children is simple: they become irrelevant. Harsh, but true. When parents stop growing, stop learning, and stop adapting, children start seeing them as outdated. They may still love you, but they no longer look up to you. Think about it. We respect leaders, mentors, and guides who are strong, wise, and relevant. If you want your children to respect you, you must remain someone worth admiring, not someone stuck in the past. Why parents lose relevance. As the world changes, technology, culture, lifestyle, many parents fall behind. They dismiss new trends, reject new ideas, and stay stuck in what worked 20 or 30 years ago. Phrases like, "In our time, things were better." "This new generation doesn't know anything." "All this technology is useless." These words create a gap. Instead of showing wisdom, they show resistance. And resistance makes your children feel, "My parents don't understand me. They're living in another world." Respect fades when relevance fades. The importance of staying strong. Relevance doesn't only mean knowing about TikTok or the latest apps. It also means staying strong physically, mentally, and emotionally. If you let your health collapse, your children start to worry, not admire. If you become financially dependent on them, they may help out of duty, not respect. If you lose emotional control, constantly angry, bitter, or negative, they see you as unstable, not wise. Strength earns respect. Weakness, especially self-chosen weakness, destroys it. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It means you must keep showing effort. Even if you're older, even if you've slowed down, your children will respect you more for trying than for giving up. The role of technology. Let's be honest. Technology is the language of today's generation. When parents avoid it, they accidentally disconnect from their children's world. Think about it. Your kids live on WhatsApp, Instagram, YouTube, or even platforms you may not use. If you never bother to learn, you're choosing ignorance. But imagine the respect your children feel when you surprise them by saying, I saw that video on your Instagram. It was interesting. Or can you teach me how this app works? Instead of creating distance, you build a bridge. You show humility by learning and confidence by adapting. Both are deeply respected. A story of relevance. There's a powerful story of a 62-year-old father who realized his children barely spoke to him except for short, formal calls. They thought he was boring, too old-fashioned. One day, he asked his daughter to teach him how to use social media. At first, she laughed, but within weeks, he was sharing positive quotes, family photos, even small cooking videos. His children were shocked. Friends of theirs started commenting, wow, your dad is so cool. Slowly, their tone changed. They began to ask for his advice again, proud to have a father who wasn't stuck in the past. The father didn't become young again, but he became relevant. The power of independence. Another key part of relevance is independence. When children see their parents standing on their own feet, even in later years, their respect multiplies. Financial independence means you're not a burden. Emotional independence means you don't cling to them for happiness. Social independence means you have your own friends, hobbies, and networks. On the other hand, when a parent becomes entirely dependent, waiting for children to provide every ounce of joy, money, or purpose, children unconsciously lose respect. They see you less as a role model and more as someone they must carry. Practical ways to stay relevant. Stay curious. Ask questions about new technology, trends, or ideas. Don't mock them. Explore them. Take care of your health. Regular exercise, better diet, and medical checkups show discipline. Learn new skills. Whether it's cooking, photography, gardening, or even using an app, growth inspires respect. Stay connected socially. Have friends, join groups, or attend community activities. Don't live only through your children. Show emotional strength. Avoid constant complaining or negativity. Be a source of calm, not chaos. The balance between old wisdom and new relevance. Your children don't expect you to be exactly like them. They know you grew up in a different time. But what they do expect is balance. If you combine the wisdom of the past with the openness of the present, they see you as the perfect guide. For example, you may not love social media, but you can respect its power. You may not agree with every lifestyle choice, but you can respect their freedom. You may not understand every trend, but you can ask instead of criticize. When you balance old wisdom with new relevance, you become timeless. And timeless parents never lose respect. Respect is not about age, it's about relevance. If you want your children to admire you, don't let the world pass you by. Stay strong in your body, sharp in your mind, and open in your heart. When your children see you as someone who adapts, learns, and grows, they won't just see you as a parent, they'll see you as a role model. And role models never lose respect. Chapter 4. The Long Game. Rebuilding trust and lasting respect. Respect is not rebuilt overnight. It's not like flipping a switch or making one grand gesture. Instead, Rebuilding respect with your adult children is a long game. It requires consistency, patience, and a willingness to play the slow but steady path. If Chapter 1 was about self-respect, Chapter 2 about communication, and Chapter 3 about relevance, this final chapter is about the marathon, not the sprint. Why respect takes time. Think about it. Respect is built on trust, and trust is never instant. It comes from repeated actions over weeks, months, even years. If your children have lost respect for you, it probably didn't happen in one day. It happened slowly through patterns of behavior, misunderstandings, or emotional distance. So to rebuild it, you must be ready for the same process. Small steps, repeated consistently, can eventually shift how they see you. This isn't easy. Many parents get impatient. They think, I've already tried being firm. I've already set boundaries. Why haven't they changed? But here's the truth. The moment you demand instant results, you've already lost the long game. Patience is power. The dangers of quick fixes. Some parents try shortcuts. They might use guilt. After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me. Others use anger. You'll respect me because I'm your parent. Some even use manipulation, cutting off contact, withholding love, or comparing children to each other. But all of these quick fixes backfire. Guilt may create temporary obedience, but not genuine respect. Anger may silence them, but it breeds resentment. Manipulation may give you short-term control, but it destroys long-term trust. The long game requires authenticity, not fear, not control, just consistent dignity. Consistency is key. Your children will test you. That's natural. They may disrespect you even after you've set boundaries. They may ignore you even when you try to connect. They may dismiss your efforts to grow and change. Here's where most parents fail. They give up too quickly. They think, it's useless. Nothing works. But what you don't see is that your children are watching closely. They're observing. Will mom really hold her boundary? Will dad really stay calm when I disrespect him? Or will they slip back into old patterns? When they see consistency, not once, not twice, but repeatedly, they start to believe. And belief is the foundation of respect, the power of emotional stability. In the long game, your emotional stability is your greatest weapon. Adult children may criticize, push back, or roll their eyes. But if you remain calm, grounded, and steady, it sends a powerful message. I am not shaken by your reaction. I respect myself enough to stay composed. This doesn't mean you suppress your feelings. It means you express them with dignity. Instead of yelling, you state calmly, I don't appreciate being spoken to this way. If it continues, I'll step away. Over time, they notice. You're not reactive anymore. You're responsive. And responsiveness is deeply respected. Celebrating their growth. Another powerful part of the long game is shifting from criticism to celebration. Too many parents only point out mistakes. Why don't you call more often? You're always busy. Your choices don't make sense. Even if these statements are true, constant criticism pushes children away. Instead, find moments to celebrate their growth. Tell them, I'm proud of the way you're handling your career. I admire how you take responsibility. I respect your independence. Respect is reciprocal. When you give it, you plant seeds for it to return, living a life beyond them. Here's a paradox. The less you make your children the center of your life, the more they respect you. If you sit at home waiting for their calls, they see you as dependent. If you guilt them into visiting, they see you as needy. But if you build a meaningful life outside of them, friends, hobbies, volunteering, travel, they begin to see you in a new light. They think, wow, mom/dad is strong, fulfilled, and independent. That admiration leads back to respect. Remember, parents who only live through their children become burdens. Parents who live fully become inspirations. Story of transformation. Let me share an example. A man named David was in his late 60s. For years, his children dismissed him as out of touch. He constantly nagged them, compared them to each other, and demanded visits. Respect had all but vanished. One day, David decided to change, not with a dramatic speech, but with consistent action. He started exercising, joined a community group, and even took classes on public speaking. He stopped lecturing his kids and began listening more. At first, his children mocked him. They thought it was just a phase. But as months turned into years, they saw he was serious. His confidence grew. His conversations became more inspiring. Slowly, respect returned. His children started asking for advice again, not because he demanded it, but because he had earned it. Practical steps for the long game. Be patient. Respect lost over years won't return in days. Give it time. Stay consistent. Don't set boundaries one day and break them the next. Remain calm. Emotional stability is more powerful than any argument. Respect them first. Celebrate their wins instead of criticizing every flaw. Build your life. Show them you are more than a parent. You are a whole person. Play the long game. Small steps, repeated daily, will rebuild respect over time. Final thoughts. Rebuilding respect with your adult children is a journey. It's not about controlling them, forcing them, or demanding obedience. It's about becoming the kind of person they want to respect. If you play the long game, consistent, patient, strong, you will notice a shift. One day, your children will look at you differently, not with pity, not with obligation, but with admiration. And that is the greatest victory of all.